Hello, I'm Shivangi Mukherjee. Welcome back to my channel. If you're an old viewer, I'm glad you decided to visit me again. If you're a new viewer, I make content on self-love, mindsets, and personal growth. With the wedding season around the corner, I decided this would be the perfect time to make this video. As you can already make out by the title of this video is going to be on wedding etiquette do's and don'ts when you attend as a guest. Beginning with the first part, that is the invitation etiquette. Make sure you RSVP on time. The ideal window of time that you should be giving to a bride and groom when RSVPing is at least 1 week if you have received invitations that early on. If it's a last moment invitation, then let them know as soon as possible. The second thing that you need to keep in mind while RSVPing is never show up at a wedding with an uninvited guest. So if an invitation has been handed out to you and you have been invited for the wedding and there is no mention of you bringing along a plus one or bringing along your family, do not assume and do not bring along your family or your spouse or plus one or anyone else at the wedding. Only you go to the wedding in this case. Also, do not make requests to the bride and groom to accommodate other people at their wedding with you. This just puts them in an awkward position. That is not the right thing to do. Now that you have, let's say, RSVP'd a yes and you're going to the wedding, the second thing that comes to your mind is what to wear to a wedding. I see a lot of people make this mistake at Indian weddings, and that is people try to match the bride. The first thing that you need to know when going to a wedding is that you never match the bride or the bridal party. If in an Indian wedding, a bride is wearing red, please do not show up at the wedding wearing red or any color palette in the red family. Let's say you decide to wear a pink Banarasi in this case that looks pinkish red from afar, or an orange Banarasi in this case that looks orangish red from afar. They all fall within the red color family. My suggestion to you would be to completely avoid being clad in full red. If for some reason, let's say your blouse needs to be a red color, make sure the other colors in your outfit are not completely red. A good thumb of rule would be to absolutely avoid the color that the bride is supposed to be wearing at her wedding. Or let's say a bridal party, the close members of the family who are closely assisting the bride have decided on a certain set of colors that they'll be wearing to match each other, then do not show up in those group colors. Make sure that you are not matching the bride, the groom, or the bridal party. The next thing that we need to keep in mind is to not overdress or underdress for a wedding. While dressing, we need to keep in mind that when we are styling a look for the wedding, it is not our wedding, but the other person's wedding. So in this case, we do not want to overdo our attire in order to bring all of the attention onto ourselves, because it is not our wedding. It is not proper to be drawing in attention on yourself when it is someone else's big day. Same thing applies to underdressing as well, actually. You do not dress very casually for a wedding because it just shows that you have put in no effort to pay respect to someone else's big day. When dressing for a wedding, try to dress modestly and be mindful of the dress code. I have seen a lot of people sometimes turn up in Western dresses at Indian weddings. Now, at Indian weddings, the dress code is usually Indian. It is an unspoken rule of thumb. So if everyone around you is wearing Indian, then it is important that you also match the crowd and you are also following the dress code. This is so that you again do not draw attention onto yourself. If you, let's say, even appear in not a dress, let's say jeans and top, it is far too casual for a wedding and you will be drawing on attention to yourself. The third part is to follow proper arrival etiquette. It is usually common and in fashion for Indian weddings to start late. But this does not mean that you also arrive late. Arriving timely will actually allow you to spend some time with the bride and groom before the wedding ceremony has begun. You will be able to hand them your token of appreciation. You will be able to make small talk with them, and all of this is important because it is their big day. It is important to let them know that you're there, you're attending, and they have your blessings, which is why it is appropriate to enter timely at a wedding. When you arrive late, you risk the chance of making an awkward entrance, disrupting ongoing wedding ceremony, or missing greeting and congratulating the bridal party altogether, which is something you will want to avoid when you're attending as a wedding guest. Here's a little anecdote for you so that you can avoid arriving to wedding late. I had once arrived at a wedding late, and I remember I was standing there awkwardly with the gift that I had for the bridal party tucked underneath my elbow, and the rituals, the wedding rituals, had already begun. So I could not hand over my token of appreciation that I had carried with me to the bride and groom. I had missed them. I also could not get hold of the family members because since the wedding ceremony had already started, they were busy attending to the bride and groom. So I'm hoping that this instance helps you to avoid a mistake that I have made in the past where I have not arrived timely, and it was fairly awkward for me to understand what to do with the gift that I brought for them, how to introduce myself, and how to even find the family of the bride and groom so that I could make conversation, congratulate them, hand over my token of appreciation. Which is why always arrive timely. I can understand that sometimes wedding invitation cards might state a time that is very early on, and that is not when the wedding ceremony is actually beginning. If you arrive that early on, you might have to wait very long till the actual wedding is taking place. So, if you have it in mind to attend the wedding ceremony in particular, then ask the bride or the groom or the family of the bride and the groom when the actual wedding is supposed to begin. Once you have the time, try to enter 1 or 2 hours ahead of that time, depending on your equation with the bride and groom. 1 hour early is ideal so that you have time with the bride and groom before they begin with the wedding ceremony. This example brings me to the fourth part of today's video, that is gifting etiquette. Always carry a gift for the bride and the groom. Do not turn up empty handed under any circumstances. Well thought out gift that shows that you put thought and meaning into the bride and groom's relationship will any day beat cash or e-vouchers or e-gift cards. A very important pointer that you need to keep in mind when it comes to gifts is to wrap them properly. I have seen so many gifts that have been wrapped lousily at weddings, and maybe a part of a paper is sticking out. Always keep in mind that when you are wrapping presents, you need to wrap a present like you are a shipping company and your parcel is going to be out on an international shipment. By that, I mean that you never know how your gifts are going to travel. After the bride and groom are done with the wedding rituals at the venue, they are going to carry these gifts. You never know if the gift is going to bump in a car and maybe lose its entire wrapping because you have not wrapped it properly, or your gift breaks along the way if it is something that is fragile. Which is why it is important that you do your bit and secure your gift. You've put in time, money and effort into your gift, and you must make sure that it reaches the bride and groom well. Make sure that you use transparent sellotapes. Do not use khaki sellotapes, brown sellotapes, sellotapes that have decorations on them. Use transparent sellotapes or translucent sellotapes so that they have more of a classy appeal. Make sure that there are no corners sticking out. You wrap everything tightly and in place, and your gift looks seamless altogether. Another very important point when it comes to gifting, and that I see people mess up, is they do not put name tags and they do not label their gifts. Now, on an important day like a wedding day, the bride and groom is receiving many gifts. They do not know which gift is yours. Even if you go up to them personally and hand over that gift, you may have a gold wrapping in place, someone else might have a gold wrapping in place. So it is always good etiquette at your end to make life easier for bride and groom so that they do not have to play guesswork at their end to figure out who has gifted what. Which is why it is very important, put on name tags, put on labels, let them know who the gift is from. And a little extra step, if you want to make your gift stand out, if you want them to know that you've thought of them, make sure that you are able to justify your gift. Let them know in that handwritten note what about the gift when you first saw it made you think of them. Now that you have responded a yes to the wedding, you have dressed appropriately, entered the wedding when you handed over your gift, it is now time to discuss some venue-based etiquette. Point number one, if you see a seating arrangement, then please understand that the front row seats are not meant for you unless clearly specified that it is for you. The front row seats to a wedding or a reception is always for immediate family members of the bride and groom, close family members, close-knit friends. This is also so that you don't get in the way. Sometimes, let's say the bride and the groom need something, and so the immediate family members will rush over from the front row seats to attend to the bride and groom. Now, if you're in the way, and let's say the bride and the groom is looking over to see if they can get a hold of one of their family members, they will not be able to do so because you have completely occupied the front row seats, and now they cannot see their family members, and they will have to look this way and that in the middle of a busy wedding ceremony. So make sure that you stay out of the way, out of all of that ruckus, and allow the bride and groom their space and time and their family members to attend to them. Do not wear your shoes to the mandap. That is where the bride and the groom are being married. This communicates disrespect at a wedding venue, and you do not want to do that. The next very important point that you need to keep in mind as a wedding guest is to be mindful of your stay duration. Do not come to a wedding and just exit the wedding. You are there at the wedding to attend their festivities. Make sure people see you, the bride and groom see you, the family members of the bride and groom see you attending those rituals. The minimum time that you should at least be spending at a wedding is 1.5 hours. Anything under that is not enough. It just shows that you came there for the food and you had the food and you left, which is not why you have been invited. You have been invited there to bless the bride and the groom. Make sure that one or two odd phone calls do not turn into numerous phone calls or constant texting. When you are talking with somebody or holding a social conversation at a wedding, make sure that is not all you're doing. Make sure that you're also being present to attend the rituals that you have been invited. If you're attending or if you've received an invitation on a wedding day, that is the day when the bride and the groom are getting married, try to ensure that you're able to stay, see the couple married even before the wedding rituals have taken place. Is understandable. If the wedding is happening very late in the night or at odd hours, then I think a lot of guests will have left by then. But if the wedding is happening at a reasonable hour, try at your end to stay there till you see the bride and groom wedding. If for whatever reason this is not possible at your end, you have things to attend to at your end, the timings do not work out for you, then make sure you let the bride and groom know your predicament. Let them know why you will not be able to stay till they are wedded. This last pointer of venue etiquette is very, very important. If you've done everything right before, but you don't do this one thing right, then you are not being a good guest at a wedding. And this one thing is to not draw negative attention to yourself or to not speak negatively of the bride and groom or the way that they have hosted you. This includes not talking loudly, being crass, dissing the wedding venue, the food, complaining about the wedding or comparing the wedding that you attended to other weddings that you've attended in the past, basically finding faults in the wedding. And you're doing all of that while standing at the wedding venue. Whatever it is that you're saying isn't meant to sit well with the hosting party, is not something that you should be saying in the venue. You might have your opinions, and it's fair to have your opinions. If you don't agree with something, please hold on to that thought till the time that you reach your house. Not discussing something at the wedding venue also does not mean that you discuss the same thing when you're right at the gate departing from the wedding venue. Please be mindful that this is a place where a lot of guests are also leaving. So if you leave gossiping and complaining about the wedding, there are chances that the guests might hear what you're saying and they can pass this information on to the bride and groom or their family. The bride and groom or the family might be hurt hearing what you've said. Yes, wedding food is going to be tasty. You might have thoughts about, oh, what's there at the wedding venue? Is there going to be good food? Is there going to be bad food? It is natural to want to have good food when you're invited, but you need to realize that you're not there for the food. I know that this might be controversial and this might not agree with a lot of people. Your purpose in being there is to bless the bride and the groom. Therefore, please try to be seen more observing the rituals than being seen stuck at a food table, eating away. It is important that you do not engage in gluttony while you're at a wedding. I'm not saying don't eat. Of course, enjoy the good food that is there, but make sure you center around to the food table after you have spent some time observing the rituals. This also applies to any kind of drinks or alcohol. If you are drinking and you're really excited about drinks being served, please keep your consumption to a minimum because you do not want to appear drunk at a wedding. A helpful tip to eat mindfully at a wedding is to not starve throughout the day just because you know that you're going to be having a wedding buffet. Make sure that you've had something before you leave for the wedding so that you are not starving for food. That'll keep your hunger levels in check and you will be able to appear as a well-behaved guest at a wedding. So much of food is wasted at weddings. Please stick to choices that you know that you will be consuming and you will be able to finish. A good tip is to take very little in the beginning, and after you're done with that, then to repeat if you feel like repeating a different food item, if you feel like going for it. But do not take a lot onto your plate and in the end be like, I cannot finish this up, so the rest of it goes to the bin. Please do not waste food like that. You're wasting someone's money, effort, time, and in a country where people don't get to eat. Another mistake that I see people when it comes to eating at a wedding is I see a lot of them ordering catering staff around, especially the catering staff that is there to help them clear the plates. A recent wedding that I attended, I saw a woman barking orders at a catering staff to clean the food from a nearby seating arrangement because that place was meant for sitting. But the same thing can be said with a smile politely and with a thank you at the end of that request after that request has been met. Make sure that you have a polite demeanor when engaging with the staff that is helping you clear your plates. This next part that I'm talking about is probably the most important pointer in the video, and that is mobile etiquette. We all have our cell phones today. We live in a day and age where technology is literally in the palm of our hands, which is why it is very important to maintain proper mobile etiquette when attending wedding. First things first, do not take pictures of the bride and groom without their permission. Even if it's a sweet moment and you want to capture it on their phone, if you do not have permission, even if you're a close friend, do not take their picture. This is because weddings are a private and an intimate ceremony. Even if they have invited a lot of people, they might not be comfortable with you taking a picture of them and sharing it publicly. The next pointer that I actually want to share with an anecdote, I was attending a wedding recently, and I observed this elderly gentleman trying to take a picture of the bride and groom at a very crucial point in the wedding ceremony, which marked the end of a wedding. This elderly gentleman standing right there, I'm not sure if they were family or just a guest, but he had taken the best spot that would have given the best angle. My point being that when you're attending as a guest, please let the professionals do their job. Do not get in their way. Because this elderly gentleman had already hogged the best spot to get a picture, the professional photographers were standing right behind him, trying somehow to get a shot. That should never be the case. Even if you're best friends with the bride and groom, even if you are distant family, please allow the photographers to do their job because they have been paid to be there. The bride and groom are paying the photographers to capture their special moments. Do not be getting in their way and ruining that. Next is, if you take a picture with the bride or the groom or both the bride and the groom on your phone with their consent, please do not share it on your social media without their consent. And I'll tell you why. This is because they might not agree with sharing a picture taken by you on social media of that very moment, sharing it publicly, especially because the bride or groom just might want the best angles of themselves. Maybe the picture that you've taken does not have the best angles. Maybe it has the best angles of just you in it. If your intent is to, let's say, congratulate them, let's say you want to put a social media post publicly saying, oh, congratulations, it was a lovely wedding, these people are so kind, you can do that personally. There's this amazing feature on WhatsApp, Instagram, anywhere, Facebook, anywhere that you connect. You can actually DM the person. You can reach their inboxes. So take that picture, write a sweet message, and send them a personal note saying how much you enjoyed their wedding. You do not need to do that on a social media platform without their consent. Another very important pointer to keep in mind when it comes to cell phone etiquette at weddings is to not be glued to your phone screen. Yes, it might be, let's say, an awkward wedding for you where you do not know anyone, but it is still alright to be awkward and by yourself than be seen glued to a phone. Don't know somebody, you take an initiative and make some small talk by yourself. If you want to know how to make small talk, I have actually already made a video on it, which I think a lot of you liked because a lot of you showed your appreciation on that video. I will have that linked in the description box below. So make sure you check it out if you want to know how to make small talk. That brings me to the very last part of this wedding etiquette video, and that is departure etiquette. The first don't when it comes to departure etiquette is to never take your leave without saying a bye to the bride or the groom. Make sure you let them know before you're leaving their wedding that you are leaving their wedding. If the bride and groom are engaged for some reason and you do not see them in front of you, then please make sure you are able to reach out to a family member of the bride and groom and let them know that you will have to leave the wedding venue. But do not leave unannounced. Say you have arrived at an awkward time, you do not know anyone other than the bride and groom at the wedding, and you have not been able to say a hi or greet the bride or the groom, then what you can do is make sure that you have at least made some form of an eye contact with the bride or the groom to let them know that you are there. That is how you will have to say a hi now with eye contact. That is if the bride and the groom know you. In a case where the bride and the groom do not know you at all, then make sure you have let the family member know that you have arrived and that you will be departing. Thank you so much for making it till the end. That was all for today's video. I will see you in my next video. If you found this video helpful and if you would like to see more such videos, make sure you let me know in the comment sections down below. Let me know what you agreed with, let me know what you did not agree with, and let me know how many of these mistakes you've made, because I for sure have made a lot or some of these mistakes that I've talked about. So I would like to know which of these points were an eye-opener for you. Bye bye. I'll see you next time. Take care.